This week, we were introduced to Trump's America First foreign policy. It is important to note what the scriptures declare concerning those who choose for themselves positions of eminence and greatness. Luke 14, verses 7 through 11 declare, "And he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, when he marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them, When thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than thou be bidden of him. And he that bade thee and him come and say to thee, Give this man place, and thou begin with shame to take the lowest room. But when thou art bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room, that when he that bade thee cometh, he may say unto thee, Friend, go up higher. Then shalt thou have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with thee. For whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted." Matthew 19:30 declares, "But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first." The scriptures give us a clear warning about exalting ourselves over others, and that is the exact behavior we are seeing be displayed by Donald Trump. This behavior can only have one end, the result of which does not bode well for Trump personally, nor the nation he leads politically. Allow me to explain. January 11th, 2017, a scandal concerning Donald Trump paying prostitutes to give him and themselves golden showers hits the news.
Multiple U.S. officials with direct knowledge of these briefings tell CNN that classified documents on Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. election presented last week to President Obama and President-elect Trump included these allegations that Russian operatives claim to have compromising both personal and financial information about Mr. Trump. The allegations, part of a two-page synopsis based on memos compiled by a former British intelligence operative.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen.
At his first news conference since the election, Donald Trump flatly denied the Russians have any compromising information on him.
But it should never have been released. But I read what was released, and I think it's a disgrace.
The report included unsubstantiated claims that Russian intelligence compiled a dossier on Mr. Trump during visits to Moscow, including a claim of sexual activity caught on a Moscow hotel room surveillance camera.
It is not important whether the allegations behind Donald Trump's involvement with prostitutes and golden showers are true or false. What is important is the symbolic meaning behind connecting Donald Trump's presidency with prostitutes and golden showers. Pandaria pandurana, or the yellow wanga wanga vine, is also known as golden showers. It is a vigorous evergreen vine with dark green divided leaves that are bronze tinged when first emerging. The name golden showers refers to the gold and reddish-brown pendulous inflorescence. Why is this important? The flower, the Pandaria golden shower, is named after Pandora. In Greek mythology, the name Pandora, which derives from Pan, means all and is a reference to the Greek horned goat god Pan, whose father was Apollo. The second part of the name is Doron, which means gift, thus referring to the horned goat god as the all-endowed, the all-gifted, or even as the all-seeing. Moreover, Pandora herself was supposedly the first human woman created by the gods. Zeus ordered Hephaestus to mold her out of the earth as part of the punishment of humanity for Prometheus's theft of the secret of fire, and all the gods joined in offering her seductive gifts. These seductive gifts connect back to the prostitutes who supposedly seduced Donald Trump. Pandora's other name, inscribed against her in the British Museum, is Anisidora, she who sends up gifts from below or within the earth. Interestingly enough, it was a former British intelligence officer who brought forth information about Donald Trump, prostitutes, and golden showers.
The allegations, part of a two-page synopsis based on memos compiled by a former British intelligence operative.
According to the myth, Pandora opened a jar called Pandora's box, releasing all the evils of humanity, leaving only hope inside once she had closed it again. This is also very interesting when we compare the opening of Pandora's box with the opening or beginning of Donald Trump's presidency, which has already began to cause chaos and upheaval around the world. We can take this comparison of Pandora's box even further when we contrast the opening of Trump's presidency with the closing of Obama's presidency, which ran on a platform of hope. Interestingly enough, Penthouse magazine had offered $1 million for the rights to Donald Trump's golden shower sex tape. Penthouse derived its name from Pentheus. In Greek mythology, Pentheus was a king of Thebes. Thebes was the capital of Egypt, and Amun, the Egyptian god of sun and air, who was depicted as a ram-headed man or simply a ram, was worshipped there, which connects back to Pan, the horned goat god. It is said that Pentheus refused to accept worship of Dionysus and Bacchanalia rituals into his kingdom, and because of it, he was killed by being torn limb from limb by women who were driven into a frenzy during a Bacchanalia ritual. This connects Pentheus with Osiris, who was also dismembered by his brother Set, which led Isis to put his body back together again. When she couldn't find his penis, she used magic to make a penis for him, and this is where the veneration of the Egyptian obelisk came from. Donald Trump was inaugurated on January 20th in Washington, D.C., where he stood at the National Mall facing the Washington Monument or Egyptian obelisk. The name Pentheus means man of sorrows and derives from penthos, which means sorrow or grief. His name appeared to mark him for tragedy, again associating Donald Trump and his exalting himself with coming sorrow, grief, and tragedy. The name Penthouse connected with Donald Trump, prostitutes, and golden showers from Pandora's box points to the coming woes to be unleashed specifically onto America and the earth as a whole, and the sorrows they will bring. I must also mention, however, that the Messiah was also called a man of sorrows in Isaiah 53 verse 3, which declares, "He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, and acquainted with grief, and we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not." Previously, we have discussed the fact that Donald Trump represents the 16th Trump of Arcana in the tarot through the Tower card. January 26, the Washington Post wrote an article entitled, "President Trump Lays Groundwork to Change U.S. Role in the World." In the article, Corey Shake, a former national security officer in the George Bush administration who opposed Trump's candidacy, said the executive orders are already causing political damage with U.S. allies. It is consistent with the way in which President Trump creates chaos and moves blithely on. The 16th Trump of Arcana, the Tower card, represents chaos. Chaos is the Tower card in traditional decks. It is said that this card causes feelings of fear and anxiety because it depicts upheaval and sudden change. The change brought on by chaos is often unexpected, quick, and profound. The energy frequently appears dramatic and out of control because it implies cataclysmic, not catastrophic, change. The executive orders signed by Trump in his America First foreign policy are the first signs that Donald, the 16th Trump, has already started causing chaos and upheaval through sudden change, just as the Tarot Tower card is expected to do. Donald Trump signed executive orders concerning building a border wall between America and Mexico.
Security, working with myself and my staff, will begin immediate construction of a border wall.
This executive order caused a shakeup in U.S.-Mexico relations.
Mexico, in some form, and there are many different forms, will reimburse us, and they will reimburse us for the cost of the wall. That will happen.
I declare, I'm not going to pay for that wall. He should pay for it. He's got the money.
Donald Trump also signed an executive order which banned travel to the U.S. for citizens of 7 majority Muslim nations. This ban comes after the shooting at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood Airport. Notice Trump signed the ban with a symbol of the 5-pointed Star of Baphomet with the Statue of Liberty inside of it. Ironically, the Statue of Liberty is a symbol for immigrants who came to America seeking asylum throughout America's history. Interestingly enough, Trump's grandfather, Frederick Trump, immigrated from Germany to New York in 1885 and would have most definitely took the journey to Ellis Island. He built a modest fortune by running hotel brothels or whorehouses, and during the nation's gold rush, Frederick Trump became a claim jumper. Through deceptive and underhanded means, he took another miner's land using the fake company name Frederick Trump Real Estate. Therefore, the connection to Donald Trump, prostitutes, and golden showers even connects back to his grandfather's underhanded dealings during the gold rush, as well as his ownership of brothels where whores or prostitutes plied their trade. The Statue of Liberty is also a symbol of the goddess Isis, which is also a reference to the terrorist group ISIS. Trump's ban provoked protests at airports across the country. Remember I told you that the recent shooting at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport during the Day of the Magic Kings was a satanic blood sacrifice ritual meant to conjure up demonic spirits from hell to produce the Third World War with Islam, which will produce the one world government and the rise of its leader, the Antichrist. The protests at the airports concerning Donald Trump's ban is occurring in the same way that the Arab Spring occurred when it brought about chaos as it toppled governments in its wake. Moreover, the controversy surrounding Donald Trump's stance on America's borders is nothing more than the Hegelian dialectical principle being used against the people once again. This is classic thesis, antithesis, synthesis. The problem or thesis. Donald Trump puts forth immigration reforms and puts in motion plans to build a wall to keep Mexicans out of the country, and he also bans Muslims from coming into America. The reaction or antithesis. Many Americans and people around the world are upset at Trump's attitude towards Mexican and Muslim immigrants coming to this country. These people want access to America and the ability to migrate from their home country to the famous land of opportunity. These people protest and clamor for Trump's immigration policy to change and for the borders to be open to all people. The solution or synthesis. The New World Order has always wanted countries with no borders. Therefore, the decision to open the borders opens up the world further to the end of the nation state and the consolidation of global authority into the hands of the Antichrist and his one world government. Remember, Donald Trump met with Steve Harvey. I must also remind you of Steve Harvey's blunder in which he took away the crown from Miss Columbia, which spiritually signified America's capital. The District of Columbia would lose its place of honor, glory, and authority in the eyes of the rest of the world. Donald Trump owned the Miss Universe pageant, and his connection to this contest, his presidency, and connection to Steve Harvey and the taking of the crown from Columbia was symbolic to America losing its crown of glory and place of eminence and authority in the world. I have said it before, and I will say it again. In order for the New World Order to fully come into existence, America can no longer exist in the state that it does now. Its role across the globe has to be diminished. It can no longer be a superpower. America, and specifically the District of Columbia, has to give up her crown to the one world government and its ruler, the Antichrist. The world is now witnessing this transition begin to take place. Trump's America First agenda will collapse, and the result will truly model itself after the scriptures. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Amen. Shalom.